Alright, we're going to do a halo caddis in green, and what we're going to start with is a tongue bead. I use a Daiichi 1120 and just a typical scud hook on this one. I'm just going to stick this in the vise. Pretty easy pattern to tie, real simple materials. Like I said, 18 scud hook, tongue bead. I'm using fluorescent green, just regular 70 denier, ultra thread. And then I'm going to rib this with ultra wire, also small green. And then the halo is ice dub caddis green. And then the last thing that I'll use is just some ostrich hurl, just in a natural kind of a black or gray. Quite honestly, I've even used stuff that you can get on a feather duster. Just some of those smaller plumes work really well. So first steps first, I'll just get a thread base on this 18. I'll just start right behind the bead. What I'm going to do is I'll just get that about halfway down, just get that thread anchored on there. We'll cut off a section of wire to use for our ribbing. Now all I'll do for this is I'll just anchor this wire right on top of the hook, pull that back, and what I'll do is I'll use the thread and the wire. Watch as I just follow this all the way down the bend. I build up just a little bit of bulk on the body, and then I'll return it up to the top. So I've got a nice caddis, rockworm green kind of body. I'll start ribbing, just palmer this right up. Nice green rib, you know, probably 4 or 5, maybe 6 wraps tops. You don't need an awful lot. Bingo. Tie off. Now what we'll do is we're going to take a pinch of ice dub and caddis green, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create, like I said, what I kind of call the halo with dubbing. And I find a lot of the time when I use a lot of the more modern dubbings, ice dub, SLF, prism, stuff like that, they have such neat characteristics that I've been using more dubbing as a form of creating legs, almost as much as I would with any natural material, including just hackle itself. You just get a really good leggy characteristic. And so what I'll do is I'll pull a couple clumps of this together, and essentially what I'm going to do to create the halo is I'll tie some of this down real loose around the shank, and basically I'll just spin it so I get a collar. I don't use a twister or anything like that. It's not necessary. As you can see, I've just kind of put this around, real loose wrap, trap the fibers. Make sure you don't get a good spin. I can even anchor it down just a touch right there. As you guys can see, I got a nice little mess of ice dub. I'll pull that forward, as you guys can see. And here's the trick. So I've already got the halo created right here. Obviously it's too long, but my reference point as I pull it forward, now that this is anchored down, I'll make sure I got every last fiber of it. You know, the easy thing for length for me to use on here is I just use the tip of the scissors, and I'll feel my way right here to where the actual eye of the hook is, and that's my reference point for a cut. So watch this. As I feel this, there it is. I'll give it a snip. Now I got a halo. It looks like I got one little fiber there. You can pull that back, or if you want to, sometimes I'll just give maybe just one more wrap just to make double sure that it's anchored. You can pull that back. I've got a really neat halo effect on here right now. It's like a collar. And I use this method of creating dubbing collar or dubbing legs, and I think that looks really neat. You can see how that just splays right around the entire body. But I use it on a number of my other nymphs, and like I said, I even use it almost more often with some of the synthetic dubbings than I do probably even some of the more natural materials. Last step that I'll use on the nymph is this. I'll just take one strand of this just gray hurl, just like a lot of other caddis nymphs. I'll tie it in. Butt first is fine. As we finish it off, trap it. Maybe give it just one little snip here. Then I'll just collar it with the black. So at which point it'll push some of the halo back, Creates a nice black, dark gray collar. You know, for me, I'll probably do 5-6 different wraps of this. Tie it off. Make sure that guy's anchored down real good. Like that. And give it a whip. Okay, give it a whip, give it a clip. I've got a Halo Caddis.